So the idea is, I said this before, finance is a technology. It can be used for good or evil. It has a tendency for successful practitioners to start attracting a lot of money. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a moral and ethical person in finance. So one thing I note in giving talks around the world, that when you go to poor countries and give a talk, they are intrinsically interested in finance because people today recognize that financial markets are part of economic success. They understand that in China, they understand that in Russia, they understand that in Brazil, and many more countries, because finance is a real technology. They're not so interested in getting foreign aid. They don't need foreign aid. They just need the right principles, and the wealth will appear on its own. So this is not a course about how you can lead a rich and self-indulgent life. It's a course that involves some moral purpose. Andrew Carnegie was one of the richest men in America. He said that he thinks that rich people, people who succeed in business, he doesn't use the word business, people who succeed in affairs. Now that sounds different today, but affairs meant business back then. People who succeed are people with a natural, practical talent. And the business world selects for people with this natural talent. And so when they make a lot of money, it is their obligation to give it away for the benefit of society and not to their useless children or spoiled children. Moreover, Andrew Carnegie said, you can hear him say this, he said that you should give it away while you are still young, because you've amassed all this wealth. What's going to happen to it? It's absurd, the story that happens. Young people make a lot of money when their talents are at their strongest. Then they get old, and they don't know what to do anymore. They become, either they work until they die or they become self-indulgent. And it ends up with their children. And then it ruins the children's life because now they have no purpose. They're just filthy rich. And they just squander it. So like Vanderbilt, his grandson, William Henry Vanderbilt, made huge amounts of money. And then his son married a socialite, the famous Mrs. Vanderbilt, who spent all the money in showing off her wealth and having big parties. Maybe that was good in some sense, but you don't want that to happen. So what Carnegie said is you have to retire early and become a philanthropist. That's the second stage of your life. So I'm going to come back to this theme, that if you go into finance, think of your life as having two stages. Like Bill Gates. You know, Bill Gates was running Microsoft. Then he retired and set up the Gates Foundation. And he's actively working on giving it away. So this is not a course, again, I repeat, not a course on, it's a course on how you can make your mark on society, but it's not a course on how to get rich.